It's Christine Lampard, Brenda Edwards, Coleen Nolan, and Judy Love.
To your Wednesday show. Coming up, as Victoria Beckham celebrates her 50th with this new picture, we have been inspired to take the posh test ourselves, revealing just how posh we really are, ladies. Also, we're having a bust up as medical experts call for bras to be tax-free. We're talking underwear, and Brenda has a tip to finding the perfect fit.
I'm just going to do this trick.
And coming up at 1 o'clock, the laughter, the tears and everything in between, our Life Before Loose series is back, where one of us takes the hot seat and shares our life story. And today, it's my turn. I only really like asking questions. I'm not good on the other side of this. This will be interesting. Apparently, you're going to find out about my childhood. No one needs to see that. Pre-straighteners, clearly.
Oh.
Even more pre-straighteners. How I got into TV, that picture didn't help. And why one phone call changed my life forever. Yeah, it's interesting stuff. Anyway, we'll not think about that just for a moment. That's later on. First today, though, it is the story across all of today's papers. A Muslim student at a non-faith school in London has lost a High Court challenge against its ban on prayer rituals by pupils during school time. The school was taken to court by the girl over the policy, which she argued was discriminatory. Head teacher Catherine Bourbon-Singh said the ruling was a victory for all schools, and it's opened a debate. That's incredibly interesting because it is a debate. It's one that people are talking about. Like we said, it's in all of the papers today. Should we be moving towards schools that just are faith-free entirely, Judy? Because we know, sadly, the state of the world at the minute, and when you boil down, religion seems to be at the epicentre of most wars. Where are we at the minute with sending our children to school?
I mean, I'm really conflicted by this because I kind of understand that the school actually put that in place before, so the parent had a choice whether to send their child to a school that is of faith or to a school that is, secular. So I think that is something that the family has to take into consideration. However, I just worry regards to that if it becomes a thing that at any stage a school can just change how, their narrative around religion, then it might be discriminatory to certain groups that are quite religious. And I think about the school where it's placed. If it's in a community where there's a high percentage of Muslim families, and maybe that was a school that is doing best when it comes to outstanding in Ofsted or anything like that, then maybe it will restrict those particular children with a religious faith lifestyle to only go to schools that maybe are not doing as well. So I think there's so many other layers underneath it. But yes, I understand that was the school's rules, and maybe the family should have thought about that. But I'm just concerned about the bigger implications that it could have as well.
But again, there is something to be said, surely, to have a school that religion isn't the centre of the curriculum, the centre of what their day-to-day schooling life is. You go to school, you meet people from all walks of life, all different faiths and creeds and heritage, and you just go to school with them.
Which is what I think it should be about. I think it should be, schooling should be about everybody being there, or whoever's there, to just learn to accept everybody for whatever they are and teach kids about kindness and we're no different, and to learn and to enjoy each other and not have that in between them. And I agree with you. I said earlier, if you know that is the rule of that school and you don't like it, then you don't send your child there. That's your choice. So, equally, there are some schools that are better than others. I was brought up Catholic. I was never a practising Catholic, but I was brought up Catholic, and I wanted Kira to go into Catholic school, and because it was a really good school, so I took the measures to get her into that school. But I'd have equally been as happy if the school was doing great and there was no religion involved.
They did say, the school head teacher, like we said, Catherine Bourbon-Singh, has welcomed this judgment as a victory for all schools and said they should not be forced to change because one pupil feels like something doesn't fit for them. And schools are a difficult place to navigate for pupils, but also for the teachers and the head teachers. It's very difficult to keep everybody happy all of the time. We know that, Brenda.
Yeah, and so I guess that makes sense. If you
throw
have
religion
that,
in, it's clearly...
and so you have that blanket rule for everybody. It's one rule for you, one rule for everybody else. But for myself, it was, I was raised Pentecostal. And schools now, I don't think they necessarily concentrate on religious studies. It was actually called religious studies, and we had the option to take that. And, as much as I say that I went to church every day, I didn't force that onto my children. I'm wondering how much of this is the parents' rules that they're enforcing onto the child. It's the parent who wants to put their child into this school for whatever reason, and then the child has to uphold the family traditions and everything, which makes it hard for the child. But I think you should just be able to have that choice. And, if there is a thing about the prayers and things, maybe compromise and find another place that's not in front of everybody to make that other children feel awkward about whatever. So, yeah.
I think what's hard is that where do you draw the line between impacting school and impacting someone's lifestyle choices? I think that's where I'm like, OK, that is their religion. That is, it's a cultural thing, it's a religion, that's what there's... And the school has their own culture. Where do we draw the line? And as the head teacher said, it's a win for all schools. So is this something that's going to filter out to many more schools?
Yeah, and just to place sort of the counter-argument to this, the court had been told that the pupil was making a modest request for permission to pray for around 5 minutes at lunchtime on dates when faith rules required it. It wasn't during lessons. So that was their argument, and you understand it. But it's like we say, if it's very kind of hardcore stated rules on the onset of signing up at the school, you sort of know what it is. You're in a very difficult position then to try to change that, because then the school might...
for one,
it's so difficult, and sadly it comes back to, should our schools be faith-free in many respects? And only a third of our schools actually are kind of religious faith-based. 2/3 are not, in fact. So, it's an interesting one, but one that people take into consideration when they're sending their child is a big decision, no matter what. On some other news now. A group of health professionals are calling for bras to be exempt from VAT. Felt I could see some swinging in the corner of the eye there. I wasn't so sure you were so happy and joyous about this. They're arguing that they are a necessity for women. So do we all agree? Are we going to have a big bust-up over this? Or do we think it's the right thing? VAT is 20%. You get 20% off every bra you buy. Is that a good thing? Should we be demanding this? It's a necessity, Brenda. We need to hold these up.
I thought you were going to say we need to hold these bad boys up. I was wondering what you were going to say.
I just held back just for those two. Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of... probably people will come for me and fling their bras at me or whatever, but, I think you should just invest in some good bras in the first place, and you don't have to keep buying and look after them properly. But, I mean, for me, I can wear a bra or not wear a bra. I choose to liberate myself with how I'm feeling on that particular day, really. So, they can be very uncomfortable. So I guess maybe there should be some, that tax should be removed for the uncomfortableness of wearing them, rather than anything else. But I don't think there's other important things that women wear that like underwear and
and we're even talking about sanitary products in schools and things like that. It should be free. To be fair, if I had to pick, I'll go for that.
Because we don't have a choice.
We don't have a choice over that, do we? So, if there is a money issue...
I'm surprised my bras are only charging 20%.
That's what I'm saying.
A lot of material, guys.
Tax-free, because my breasts are like taxed. They're heavy.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, dear.
I'll deal with you.
The thing about bras is that I didn't know this until recently, when you go and get measured for a bra, and you go, oh, I'm this size, and then for months or years sometimes I go into a shop and I go, I'm this size, I'm this size. And when I went last time, she said, they're like clothes. You can go into a different brand of bra and you'll be a completely different size.
Oh, really?
So you should always be measured for whatever shop you're in and whatever bra, because
and those shops do
it'll
offer
be different
that free,
size.
don't they? The bra.
But what's annoying is Army and Navy have stopped doing my bras.
I went into a bra shop and I said, I'm this size. I said the same thing, I'm this size. And she looked at me and she says, no, you're not. And I thought I was like a 38D, and she came up with some H, triple. I was like, no, and I ran out the shop. I was like, I'm too frightened.
I'm like a double H
Okay,
or something.
sorry.
Oh, my God.
Well, we've discussed this, and we've decided to do the rest of the show with our bras off.
Yes.
Are you ready, ladies? Yes? OK. Also coming up, I'll let them get on with it. As Victoria Beckham, a.k.a. Posh Spice, turns the big 5-0, we're revealing the signs that could mean that you are a secret posh person without even realising. Do join us after the break if one so desires. Tomorrow, telly legend and loose man Larry Lamb returns to the studio for a Gavin and Stacey reunion, loose women style, with our Joanna Page, with whispers of the potential return of the beloved comedy series. Mick and Stacey Shipman are reunited tomorrow at 12:30 on Loose Women. Welcome back. Before the break, we promised to go braless for the rest of the show. Sadly, Coleen has been advised not to because of health and safety guidelines on set. So we didn't want her to feel left out.
It's only the first 2 rows that would have had to have moved back.
My life before loose, including death-defying challenges that, did push me the limit. I just got an absolute flashback even looking at that. Yeah, one of many falls in the English Channel. Anyway, still to come. Competition time now, though. Here's Josie.
Welcome to the Railway Inn at Thatcher's Farm. I'm here to check out the cider, and I used to be a bar lady, so let's see if I've still got it. Oh yeah, I still got it, but I'm not just here to check out the cider. I'm here to tell you about our incredible spring competition, which all kicks off with £72,000 in tax-free cash. Yours to spend on whatever you like, but we're not stopping there. Oh no, we're going to throw in an £8,000 tech bundle, which includes Sharp products from Hoovers to hairstyling, LG and Apple products, a 55-inch smart TV, iPad, iPhone, MacBook, Ninja products, an air fryer, blender, ice cream maker, an outdoor oven, and £1,000 in John Lewis vouchers, yours to spend in store on whatever you like. So that's a combined prize total of £80,000. To be in with a chance of winning, you need to pick up the phone because lines close this Friday. Here's all the details. For another chance to win, text WIN to 86060. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY12 PO Box 7 558 Derby DE10NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday at 3 p.m. Good luck!
Good, isn't it? Oh, we set friends off. That's what happened. What a tune.
I know.
Tune.
Every tune of theirs is a tune.
Just brilliant. Spice Girls, we love them. And Victoria Beckham, she turns 50 today. Can you believe that? She posted these lovely snaps of her as a baby on social media. Oh, you see, she always had style. Look at her with the glasses. Since then, we know Victoria's become a mum, a musician, a model, a fashion designer, and is, of course, also known by her music alter ego, Posh Spice. She looks gorgeous there, doesn't she?
There, yeah.
Happy birthday, Victoria. She will undoubtedly be watching, I might add. So, yes, wishing you a very, very happy birthday. when I look back at the Spice Girls, I always loved her because she was a little bit, you didn't quite know her at all. She was the one that was posh and behind the glasses. I remember Baby Spice being the bubbly, friendly one. And
Scary, being really scary.
And being exactly what they were. But because she was posh, she didn't know so much about her. So she was always a bit more enigmatic, I guess, within the group. She was just brilliant.
Yeah. She brought the Hollywood, didn't she? She brought a little bit of the A-list and the Hollywood.
Well, she brought posh.
Yeah.
She brought posh, that's the whole point. Do you think we all secretly like a little bit of posh? Being a little bit of posh, knowing someone that's a little bit posh.
I like a posh lager.
You like a posh lager? OK, fair enough. That's, you know, it's a start, isn't it?
Just a little bit of lemonade.
You ruined it then.
You did. Because apparently there are a list of things that means that you might be posher than you think you are.
Oh.
So, and this is really interesting, right? So you can say yes or no to this. This is really interesting for you. What makes you posh? You ride horses.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
Thank you. Thank you.
You see?
And
box ticked already. You ski. Does anybody ski?
Soon.
Soon? Yeah. You're on the way up to poshness.
It's my favourite yogurt, actually.
Yeah. There's food and drink coming through here quite a bit. You call everyone darling.
Oh,
I do.
No, I call them a lot of things. It's never.
You know Latin.
Oh.
Who knows Latin? I did Latin.
Who?
I did Latin at school.
Oh, you know Latin.
Pull, pullets. Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
No, obviously. I just went to a very posh school. You call champagne champers.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Or you're all going yes.
Yeah.
Do you say champers?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't think
posh
that would be
audience.
posh, champers.
Champers, man. You call friends by their second names. Come on, Nolan, let's go for a drink.
That is no.
No, I think that's rude.
Yeah, I think that's more a male thing. You hear sort of, I think not so much a female thing. You hear, it's more man thing, man. You have an aga. You have an aga!
It's a big oven.
Oh, an aga.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a range kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
No, you have not. You've got a range. It's different to an argo.
Oh, okay.
Stay in your lane, love.
This is one that I know you hate. You call your parents mummy and daddy, even as an adult.
I can't bear it.
That literally-
I can't bear grown children calling their parents mummy, daddy.
I love it. Mummy, daddy.
I love my children calling me mummy and dad. Well, mummy.
What's up, daddy?
So you're officially the poshest person on the panel.
I'm trying to catch up with you.
You are
Where
catching
I
up with
live,
me.
it's, you know, it's very. I'm on a road, and the road, all the neighbours say hello, and I'm always like hello, sweetie. Put my bins out on time.
Darling.
And then
Would
my
you like
son.
to come around for a glass of champagne?
Champers,
Yes.
definitely. My son was out, he had a friend down, and I was coming home from work in my Mercedes, being dropped off and waving. I saw these two kids in a row doing wheelies. I was like, oh, who's that? It was my child. And I was like, get in. And they would do wheelies. I was like, get inside the house.
They're just practicing for the Olympics.
Yes.
They're going skiing next week.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. You're posh. That's brilliant.
It's not that funny.
It is. Coming up next, Life Before Loose is back, and it's my turn to face the questions today. Thank you. We're going to be starting right back at my school days, apparently. But can you spot me in this picture?
Right in the centre.
Let's just say the hair gives it away.
Yeah, gorgeous.
It's my natural look. That's Life Before Loose coming up after this.
Welcome back. I've taken over as it's time now for the return of our Life Before Loose series, where we share stories from our lives before we join the show. And it gives me great pleasure to say that today, Christine is your Life Before Loose.
Thank you. Welcome to Sky High. The next bit of solid ground is Greenland. And I have to say, it just takes your breath away. He's Adrian Childs.
She's not Myleene Clash, she's Christine Bleakley.
Right, let's get started.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was the 2nd of February 1979, Newry, County Down, and Christine Bleakley was born to Mum Mina and father Fred. Now, it was a really happy home, wasn't it, Christine?
Very, very happy home, yes. Mum and Dad were just brilliant. And yes, 79, so yeah, my goodness me, back in Newry. And yeah, it was a very, very happy life. I mean, we were spoilt in the best way and that there was just nothing but love at home, thankfully. And we felt very blessed for that. There's my mum and Dad before it.
And what did your mum and dad do?
Well, Mum was like a bookkeeper, accountant person. She's very sensible. She's got the mathematical brain, was able to work things out. My dad was a musician. So very, very different. So Dad was a drummer his whole life. So he was away a lot and away with bands. But we grew up, when I think back now, in a house full of music. And it's still why I love live music and live performances now. And that comes from Dad, because I remember being taken to watch the band. And when you were kind of teenage years, you'd go up to the Empire Music Hall in Belfast and watch him. And you felt really proud to bring your friends along because it was your dad up on stage. And
of course, you had your little sister.
Yes, then I had my little sister, Nicola. So, we're thankfully the very best of friends. So we were always a very tight, happy, lovely little unit. Exactly.
What's the age range between you and
2.5 years? Yeah. So 2.5 years. So we had a lovely childhood, and we grew up in a beautiful part of the world, in spite of awful things that happened in Northern Ireland over the years. But it still was then, still is beautiful. I still love going home. We were very lucky. We had a 5-minute drive to a beach. You were another 10 minutes from mountains. You go up into Belfast city centre where you've got a city feel. But we had lots of greenery around us, and it just felt like the perfect way to grow up, really, in spite of the backdrop of everything that was going on.
Well, the thing is, you say that, you're saying in regards to, unfortunately, the stuff that was happening at the time, which was at the times of the trouble. And do you remember certain things that you kind of witnessed?
When you grow up in a setup like that, it does become you. You don't know any different. You become addicted to listening to the news every day because, there's no social media, no mobile phones in those sort of early days. So everything, your life was dictated to by what the news was that day. So whether you could drive into Belfast, whether you couldn't, whether you could go to school that day, whether you couldn't. Bombs going off, really? 100%. There was one that, a bomb, I lived in a place called Newtonards, and a bomb went off right in the centre of the town. Wow. I would have been maybe 9 or 10, maybe. And we were all out playing, and it was like an earthquake. And we lived half a mile away from it, and it was what I assume an earthquake would have felt like, and suddenly we were just surrounded in smoke. And then all of a sudden the news comes through, and it's on the news, and the whole place was just obliterated. And it was so shocking, so soul-destroying, but it was weirdly our norm.
Yeah.
And people still had to get on with life, and sadly you hear it all the time.
But it must have affected you and your sister as young children in some way.
Yeah, I think because my dad was, like I say, he was a musician and he was out in bands and travelling around a lot of the times. And there was a time where there would be people going into pubs and clubs and just shooting around them. And I remember as a young child getting very, very panicky, and what I suppose I could only describe as anxious, not that that was really talked about back then as having anxiety. But I think I probably did, because I wouldn't sleep until I could hear Dad's car drive up on the stones outside.
Wouldn't you used to watch?
Literally just be staring at the window. And Mum would sort of try to joke all the time. Well, watch kettle never boils, she used to say. And then I used to try and do the opposite of going, right, well, I can't look now. I'll not look at all. And it was like you'd play in your own mind just to make sure. And then the second you'd see the car come up, I go, sleep. And that went on for years. So when you're a little girl, all those little things definitely... And it builds you as a person, to be honest. You do, honestly, going into Belfast city centre loads of times, many big occasions at home, the Oma bombing being one of the biggest, I think. And we were working that day. That was some years later when I was a bit older. And it knocks you for six because we're a small place and everything felt like it was on your doorstep. It wasn't physically, but it felt it.
Yeah. Speaking of your doorstep, your family moved to Newtownwards.
Newton Ards, as we'd say back then. No, it's spelt like that. I'm going all Northern Irish on you.
We love that accent, lovely. But you were quite a headstrong child. I understand you ran away from school.
Yeah, I did. So I was born in Newry and was at school there, and I loved my primary school there, Windsor Hill Primary it was called. Yeah. And then I moved to this school and I decided straight away that I hated it. I missed all my friends that I'd had in my previous primary school. It's a big move when you
What
move
age
children.
were you here, about
5?
5.
So I decided, well, I'm not staying here. And I remember changing my shoes. I had to get my little school bag and I buttoned it up. I remember putting my coat on and I walked out.
Wow.
And we'd just moved to this town. So Mum, to this day, cannot fathom how I found my way home.
Wow.
And I walked about 1.5 miles, crossing busy roads, and I knocked on the door, and I remember my mum's face draining of colour. She said, "What are you doing here?" And I just said, "Well, I'm not going back." And I thought, I've escaped. I can clearly just hide in the house and they'll never find me. And of course, 5 minutes later, the poor teachers were like, "Please tell us that she's here." I put the fear of God into everyone, but the headstrong thing was definitely there from a very young age.
That's what you need to work in TV.
Yeah,
so.
I was stomping home going, "I'm not going back." I did.
So within that, with that strong, will of yourself, you kind of knew, you always knew that you wanted to work in TV. There was a slight passion there when you was younger.
I was always weirdly obsessed with TV and I have no understanding why. My parents were nothing to do with it. I didn't know anyone that worked in TV.
Do you think it might have been the stuff that you saw?
Well, I think because TV was so central to us growing up. People talk about screen time now and all the rest of it. We loved TV. TV was on all the time. Didn't do me any harm.
Yeah, it was in my house.
I loved it. And but also going back to the news thing, it was such a central part of your home, really. But it wasn't just being on telly. I used to drive past the BBC building and the ITV or UTV as it's called in Belfast, and I'd drive past and go, "I can't believe they're in there reading the news, but I watch it in my house." And I was really young when I had that thought. I thought, how does that work? And weirdly, it was the technical side behind it all just fascinated me. And that was from a really young age. And I really don't know where it came from. It was just something sparked in my mind. I thought, that's really interesting. I'd quite like to do that.
I read that you and your sister started to kind of make TV bits.
Well, you see, This Morning's been knocking around for how many years? I originally thought of it when I was about 8 or 9 years old. It was my idea. So I think it might have been Santa, brought me a little video camera. And my mum and dad still have a bank of VHS tapes, I might add, back home of everything I've ever done. But they also have this, and it's videos of me. I'm not actually in it. I'm filming everything, so I'm the director and the camera operator and sound person and everything. And I've got my sister, she's like the equivalent of Kat and Ben, and then I had a newsreader and a weather presenter, and I had this little TV show that I used to create when I was like 7
So you were
years
kind of
old.
directing
I'm not in any of it. I'm always one behind the camera telling them what to do. And on special days, we'd have special guests. Madonna came to play. It was very, very star-studded.
I love that it was a day of work experience that got your foot in the actual
It was.
door.
It was my lovely art teacher stroke career teacher, Helen at Bloomfield Collegiate, the school I went to, and she knew I was obsessed with television. I'd written loads of letters and done lots of stuff, but she was able to get me 1 day of work experience at the BBC. Wow. So I was 17. It was on my 17th birthday. I was doing my A-levels, and I went after school to Cat Deely's husband, Patrick Kilty. It was his programme. And it was called PK Live. It was a big network show, so you watched it here, but it came from Belfast, and that was my first day of work experience. And I wanted to work with cameras, so that was my thing. But I was put in with the floor management team, and I, there and then, fell in love with it. I went, I never want to leave this. This is the most exciting thing ever. And I can still, it was Blackstaff Studio in Belfast, and I still can smell the smell of the studio.
Wow.
There's a distinct
Cleaned
smell.
it since then.
And it was just one of those things. I thought, I just got butterflies, and I still have that butterfly feeling every time I walk in here. It's never,
That's nice.
ever left.
That's nice.
I really mean that. It's just that I still can't believe how many of us, you know, get to 60, 70, 80, never, ever having really done what we kind of wanted to do. I always felt really privileged that I kind of always knew what I wanted to do. It was just getting there.
Yeah,
But it was
but you
hard.
worked hard to get there.
Yeah, you did.
know.
Yeah, well,
But what
you
was
know.
the moment then when it went from being behind the camera and assistant floor manager, all of those things, to then being in
Doing
front?
that. Well, I worked behind the camera for a long time. I worked with the floor management team, and then I was working with a comedy drama back home called Give My Headpiece, and I was the second assistant director on that. So I was sort of working up this, but it was very much behind the camera. Loved every single second of it. It made me appreciate what everyone does within a TV environment. I mean, there's lots of jobs I couldn't do. We've got Brooklyn in our ear today doing the counts. That's a job I can't do. But I grew up having an appreciation what it took to make a TV programme. So I loved it. And then I got asked. There was a couple of other people that sort of tried to encourage me, but there was a guy called Mike Edgar at BBC Northern Ireland, and he was, I think, the head of entertainment at that time, head of programming. And he said, have you ever thought about presenting? Properly doing it as a job. And I remember laughing, going, oh, please. Anyway, to cut a really long story short, it took a while before I did, but I gave it a whirl with his backing. And it was under one caveat. I said, if it goes horribly wrong, I want to go back to my day job in the studio and no one mentions this again. And,
well, I have to say,
that's how it started.
I think what we should do is have a look at you in 2004, because it definitely didn't go the wrong way. Have a look at this.
Hello and welcome to Sky High. This week I'm starting out over Londonderry. Now, most people would drive into the city over the Foyle Bridge, but when you've got a helicopter, why not fly under it? You ready, Kaye? Here we go.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That was like...
So natural, and not an easy one to start with, that's for sure.
The best ever. I loved it. And that was Keith that used to do Annika Rice's show back in the day.
Oh, really?
So I was starstruck already. I was like, oh, I've got Keith in my helicopter.
Well, listen, we're going to leave it there for now, but still to come, there's a special surprise. The one phone call that changed Christine's life forever, and all will be revealed next. Welcome back to Christine's Life Before Loose. So coming up, an emotional surprise that Christine knows nothing about. But competition time first, and here's Josie.
Hello, I'm down in Somerset at Thatcher's exploring their orchards, and did you know they've got over 458 types of apples on this farm? And of course, I'm not just here for a good old nosy. No, I'm here to tell you about our competition, which is closing this Friday, where you could win a prize package worth £80,000. First up, you could be walking away with £72,000 in tax-free cash. Just imagine what you could do with all that money. And on top of that, there are tech goodies worth £8,000. There's household cleaning essentials from Shark, including a pet vacuum cleaner, plus loads of Apple goodies. We've got all the latest kitchen gadgets from Ninja, from an air fryer to an ice cream maker, plus a £1,000 John Lewis voucher. Just remember, you've only got a few days left to go because lines close this Friday. Good luck. For another chance to win, text WIN to 86060. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 786060. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to DY12 PO Box 7 558 Derby DE10NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close on Friday at 3 p.m. Good luck.
Time now for the second part of Christine's Life Before Loose. And there was a call that changed everything for you, wasn't there, Christine?
There was, yeah. I had been filming little pieces for the One Show, and never in the studio, out and about doing bits and pieces. And I had been in, I think it might have been Leeds. And I had just landed back in Belfast. And I was sitting waiting for my bag to come through in arrivals. And the phone went and they said, Christine, would you fly to London to host the show tonight, actually host the show in the studio? I'd never done it before.
Oh, my gosh.
And I went, I can't. Of course I can't. And you know me, I started to get, I'm going to be sick. Like, no, I can't. And I've just arrived back. I haven't even got my bag. And they said, no, will you please get on a flight? You're helping us out, but we really want you to, this is a really great opportunity for you. And I remember going, can I call you back? And I phoned my mum. I went, oh my God, Mum, they've just asked me to fly back.
Because McLynn class had gone into labour, hadn't she? So couldn't
early
do it
labour.
early. Yeah.
So, you know, typical telly, you go, oh, you think that everything will be planned and prepped, but no. So they phoned me. And my mum went, oh, well, what do you think? Whatever you think. Anyway, I phoned them back and went, look, if you think I can do it, but, like, please, like, I'm really nervous. Anyway, I picked my bag up in arrivals, walked straight to departures at Belfast City Airport, and flew to London and hosted the show that very night. And that is basically probably
Well, you know what? Let's have a look.
Oh, gosh.
Hello and welcome to The One Show. The One Show that goes
it.
right round the country in half an hour for the stories that matter to you.
He's Adrian Childs.
She's not Myling Class, she's Christine Bleakley.
And the challenge, to see if The One Show can convince the Capital's workers to take a 15-minute siesta.
And that was it. Like, never in a million years did I think I'd be in London. Even at that point, though, it was only for a couple of days. And then, can you come for one more week? It was never like a long-term thing even then. That sort of just happened over time. But yeah, that genuinely was the first day. I thought, I am on network television. What is going on?
Amazing.
But you was amazing. You was there for how many years?
I was a couple of years in the end. 3 years, yeah.
And then things just started to really just explode for you in a good way because you ended up on Strictly.
I did.
2008 or so, wasn't it?
yeah.
How was that experience for you?
Do you know what? It was fantastic. And 99.9% of the brilliance of that experience was that very man dancing there, Matthew Cutler.
Look at
He
you.
was fantastic, beautifully patient, beautiful dancer, but we had the best laugh.
Yeah.
And he made the whole experience fun for me. I was painfully nervous, could not tell you for the 90 seconds that you do the dance, my memory just went. I'm not natural, let's put it that way. But it was what an experience. Again, like something that just happens in your life that you don't plan for, and you're in it. And you think, I've got to enjoy this because it is a one-off. And Strictly was very, very much that. It was amazing, amazing time. I lasted longer than I thought it was going to last. But it was great.
There's one person in your life that has always been extremely proud of every single thing you've ever done. And they wanted to send a very special message to you today. Take a look at this.
Hi everyone, and hi Christine, surprise. I just wanted to take a moment to express just how proud I am of my incredible big sister. Christine, from the very beginning when you started working in production to now being a very familiar face on our screens, you are an amazing sister to me. You're always there with a listening ear and unwavering support. You are a loving daughter to mum and dad, and you always put your family first. But most importantly, you are an amazing wife to Frank and the best mummy to Patricia and Freddie, and dog mum to Minnie too. Yes, your talent, your kindness and your dedication inspire us all. We are incredibly proud of you and we can't wait to see what amazing things you will do next.
Cry? What can make you cry?
To make you cry.
Do you know, again, though, my sister's very like my mum, painfully shy when it comes to these things.
That's
You've no
amazing.
idea what that would have taken for her to do.
Well, she couldn't wait to do it,
that's
actually. She loves
lovely.
it very much.
Thank
And one
you.
thing she's incredibly proud of is the sporting challenge that you took on.
Oh, yes.
Which we're all incredibly proud.
That was an act of foolishness and ignorance to begin with, because sport really is such a huge thing and everyone wants to do their best, and someone suggested water skiing in the English Channel, and I'd never water skied, so I thought, well, how hard can it be? And then I tried it once and thought, this is going to be impossible, so I trained for months. It was painful, but one of the most incredible, certainly physical and mental things I've ever done in my life. It was 22, 23 miles of the English Channel, having to stop with big tankers passing us by, and the weather was awful, but we raised, like, it was over 1.5 million, I think it was. Wow. Which was amazing.
And you was, that year, you was voted Cosmopolitan Woman of the Year.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, thank you.
She didn't take it today.
Well, you know now.
But I want to talk to you and be frank about Frank.
Yes.
And talk about the love and how you two got together. You met at the Pride of Britain Awards?
We met at the Pride of Britain, and yeah, complete random night. I was on the one show at the time, so I arrived late, wasn't meant to go. He wasn't meant to go. And he was basically sitting at a table across from me, and I had a couple of friends at the table that I knew, had never met him. And I knew he was a footballer. 85% sure he was Chelsea, but I wouldn't have bet my life on that. So I wasn't a football-y person at all. Like I say, it was music in our house. It wasn't sport growing up at all. So we were introduced then afterwards. I know Piers Morgan takes a big part of this because he loves to say he introduced us. And he sort of was. There was a few people there and said, Frank, this is Christine, Frank. And anyway, that was it. We met that night, and he then went off with England and was away for a couple of weeks. So we spoke on the phone. Loads. We spoke on the phone one night for about 6 hours.
Oh,
and so weirdly, it was a very old-fashioned courtship, because by the time he came back, it was like I know all of the stuff. It was a really comfortable kind of date then. And yeah, that was back in 2009. Well done.
And you know what? You know why we feel very lucky? Because in 2016 you joined us, and you've been such an asset to this show.
Well,
and we absolutely are so thrilled you're with us.
I have loved it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Christine Lampard.
Thank you so much, everybody. My goodness me. I was dreading that, wasn't I? You were very nice to me. I have to say bye-bye now, don't I? We've got Larry Lamb tomorrow.